most with my dad, and it was one of the most. Well, there's two. All right, the first one was the most heartbreaking that I still relive over and over again today, which is one of the reasons why I'm the father that I am today. Right, and the second one was that moment, that aha moment, as Oprah would say, where we looked each other in the eye and we actually said we love each other. But I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the beginning. I remember my father, man, you know, he was a man in the streets. He used to sing on the street corners, you know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, he loved his alcohol, he loved the smoke. I mean, it was what it was. It was his surroundings, what he grew up in. Right. But we left work, we left church on a Sunday because my mom sang in the choir and we all stayed at my grandmother's house. My dad was living there too. He was on the top floor. And I remember us coming home from church and we were all excited, but my dad's just a little intoxicated. And he's upset with my mom because he's hungry. He woke up and he's hungry. And it's 2 in the afternoon and he want to know what's taking you so long at church. What you doing at church? And he put his hands on my mom. And I remember I was standing there looking up like, what is going on? Because I've never experienced this. And from that moment, my mom was just so upset the way he put her hands on her. She ran to the kitchen and she came back with a knife, bro, a knife. And I seen all of this. And she came running at him. I remember he had on a black leather jacket. And I also remember that with that leather jacket being so thick, may have saved his life because she was like, you're not going to put your hands on me. Because apparently this had happened before, right? And it came to a breaking point. My mom's in church.
How old were you? About how old were you?
I was 3.
Dang, you remember that clear, man?
You can ask me a lot of things. I remember when I was 3, 4, 5. I can't tell you many, but this particular thing, I remember like it was yesterday. Because I was just standing there bawling, man. It was hard to intake. And that's when my dad left the house and left my life. And I would only see my dad every other, workday, payday, when it was time to catch him, so we can eat, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I always had this perception of what dads are like, how they probably were failures, because I didn't have a lot of people in my circle that actually had dads in their lives, especially at that time. And I was still young. And even growing up until my teenager age, I didn't see that until I got maybe like 14 or 15, where I realized. I had that gift. That's what got me to college, the track scholarship. My dad finally said he'd come into the state track meet in Jeff City. You think he got there earlier than me? He got there by the time my last race was, and he showed up drunk. The whole day, I'm running an 800 meters, a certain relay. I'm looking in the stands, looking for him while I'm running.
Yeah, man.
Because at this point, I'm like, maybe I can forgive everything and we can start here.
Yeah, man.
And he dropped the ball again, man. And at that point, I wrote him off. Because he showed up for my last race and he was sitting there with one of his cousins. And half the time, I'm running. I'm winning.
They ain't even paying no attention to you.
I'm looking up, doing this. Ain't even paying no attention.
Yeah.
Why you drive an hour and a half, man?
Yeah, man.
You don't love me?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So first of all, let's stay there because I know that feeling, dog. Like, and I promise you, when even when you saw that he showed up, you probably tried to run as hard as you possibly can because your pops was there.
It was the fastest 800 meters I ever ran.
See, and that's what people don't understand, bro. It's like the kid in you never really dies, right? So you talked about, oh man, I'm gonna write him off because you did this again, yada yada. But the thing is, man, is that even in that moment, dog, you really were like, that was painful, bro. Like the pain, and then being in high school, see, you grow up and a man is taught to not cry, and a man is taught to be tough, and a man is told, you don't be no punk. Man, I mean, that's even if you didn't have no father, you picked that up throughout the hood, throughout the neighborhood, throughout people that were around you. You picked that up from uncles and cousins, and you picked that stuff up, not to be this as a man. But when it comes to your father, the thing is, you are still at that place of when the trauma, came in, right? 3 years old. So there's a part of you that wants that reconnection. It never leaves. And so even in that track meet, I know that when you looked up and then you saw like, man, you're not even really You know,
Yeah.
and there's a disappointment that comes with that pain, bro, that if you've never gone through it, you really can't explain that. You know,
No.
people can say, you know, man, everybody's had moments of disappointment with their parents, but that thing right there of when people are missing and then they come in and they're not what you thought they were going to be when they came in.
Yeah.
That thing is gut wrenching, man. And so I can just see you running and being like, man, you know, and you say he showed up drunk, showed up with his cousin, you know, he probably trying to look at other women in the stands.
Exactly. Yeah.
All that type of stuff, man.
Mm-hmm. They were sitting off by themselves. My mom wasn't sitting with him. She didn't embrace him. People knew that I was my dad, so they tried to console me. Even though I won, they were still feeling bad because they could see the look on my face of disappointment. And they were like, man, it's all right, man. You did what you had to do, blah, blah. And I was just like, y'all don't get it. Y'all don't get it. So that was the one great Christmas we have. And then let's fast forward to after college. Now, for some reason, my father's still trying to come back into my life. I don't know if it's because he's gotten older, he's slowed down, maybe things are sinking in, maybe his sisters or brothers saying, what are you doing, right? So we start trying to build that, but not till I was like 21 or 22 did my dad ever say, I love you, or I even said, I love you to my dad. And that moment, when I said that and we hugged, that's the first time I hugged him.
That's what I was going to ask you, bro.
It's the first time, man. And
there's not to cut you off, there's a statistic. I want to stay on that, man, because there's a statistic, man. I don't have it, you know, but I've read it where, you know, it's such a high percentage of males that are in prison, bro, that have never been hugged and have never been told that they were loved by another male. Now, reason why I point that out is the impact of it. I could tell already, dog, even with the shades on, I could tell already reliving that moment brings something up in you that you had been waiting for your whole life.
My whole life. And
I'm gonna tell you why that was important, bro. Why that was important was because every single boy wants one thing, and that is to be acknowledged by his father. And I mean acknowledged to the point to where you are my son, you are my boy. You know, they may not know what else to do from there, right? So you don't hold them to that. But the fact is, something I guarantee you, in that moment, things that were before and even things that may have been after, in that moment, there were some things that broke, that you needed, man. Like, you know, you might have been 21, 22, you know. I know that moment you was trying to be like, man, hey, man, whatever, man, you know. But in your heart, though, it's 3, it's 9, it's the track meet, it's 10th grade.
It's all of that.
It's all of that, man. And then that embrace from Pops. You said that was the first time. Let me ask you this. How many times after that do you think you probably hugged your Pops?
Every time I saw him.
There we go.
I did not want to not hug him. I wanted to hug him every time I saw him.
Yeah, man.
Because my cup finally felt full. For the first time, my heart felt full. And look, this is not taking away from my mom. She did everything she's supposed to do.
Oh, of course.
But still, you still want that acceptance. You still want that approval. You still want that love from your dad, right?
Yeah.
And to finally get that, man. You know, so I mean, we would hang out, we would talk. You know, me, when I was in my apartment, my dad would come over on the weekend. It was like, I felt like we were making up for lost time, but also felt like we didn't have a lot of time. Because my dad lived a fast life.
Right.
You know, he lived a fast life. So by the time I finally moved to LA, he had passed away 4 years after that. You know, so I remember talking to him after Jordan won his last championship in '98, bawling, because he loved the Bulls. I remember him calling me after the Rams won the Super Bowl, just bawling. But those are tears that I've been crying for him for years and he never heard it, right? But now we had a chance to share that in a kind of like a celebration moment. And I needed that. And why I needed that is because me being a dad now, Malachi's asleep and I'm rubbing his head and I'm just staring at him like, and sometimes I will say this, I will be like, the way I look at Malachi and the way I can't wait to get home to see him and talk to him, whatever. It's like, how could he not want that? How did he not miss that?
Yeah.